when drawing out your composition, put marks on your drawing and to separate the areas, and then you can follow. If you put marks on your canvas, you can follow where to draw things in. Once the composition is drawn out, make sure that you work out any problems in the composition before you start applying the paint for the block in. Okay, so here you see where I've been painting in the people first who are walking up the path, and then I will paint the scene around them, and that way I hold their place there, and I can make their heads smaller and work on the dimensions of their bodies a little better. But remember, in a large scene like this, people who are far away, you won't see many of the details like that. I want my values to be right so that the important parts of the painting, such as the people walking up the path, can stand out. So I don't want anything to drown them out in value. Just painting in value. I don't put black on my palette. I mix my darks so that they're more natural. Black is just usually too dark for anything in the landscape. flat it and not without a lot of shadow, or without a lot of shadow. It should be light in the landscape, picking up light from the sun. Trees in the distance should be bluer than trees in the bluer and lighter. You'll see reddish tones in the background as well. Dark blue, purple, all of those colors are okay for the background. You want to keep the sky clean of land colors such as tree color, greens, browns. So wiping your brush between getting new paint is a good idea. And you can come back later and clean it up too. It doesn't have to be done all in one shot, but to get the idea, the sky color is a good idea. For the second day on my painting of the Cleo's Baths path. This is a beautiful area up here in the Sierras where you can hike. It's a pretty strenuous hike, but once you get up on top, there are these beautiful natural bath areas where you can swim and be right up on top of the mountain and looking out, and it's pretty incredible, very surreal. But this is the path leading up, and there are 4 people here that I haven't done a lot with. I want to darken the path area with the shadows around them so that these pop a little more, and the side areas. So they're wearing light clothing for the most part, so they should pop out a little more. And then the rest of it doesn't have a lot of paint on it right now, so I will be working on building up the areas around the shadows and defining some of the rock areas a little bit better. I worked a little bit on the composition. It wasn't quite right. So after I painted last time, I went in and corrected a few things that were not quite right on there. But now I've got my block in really well and ready to go with the next step of it. So thanks for joining me, and I will get going on this. Sometimes if you print off the photo bigger, and then you can manipulate some of the shadow areas and things like that. The printed photo actually helps me a lot. I don't know, sometimes looking at the light of the computer screen, it can throw me a little bit. I want to make sure, even though it's showing this in the photo, I want to make sure that what I'm mixing will harmonize with what I have already in the painting. I like this size. I think it's a 6 of this silver brush series of flats. These are really nice bristle brushes, and I love them. It doesn't look like a flat because I've worn down the edges, but I like that size. Works really well for a lot of... It's gotten really dry too because it was sitting in the hot car. Yeah. When I first start, my shadows can be a little harsh, and then I smooth them out as I go along, but getting that initial dark in is important. And the shadows should be thinly painted. Some of it catches the light more than others, but remember that the trees and bushes are fairly much the upright form, and so they will stay fairly dark, even though they will pick up light on the edges. So I use my knife. When you see me holding it up like this, I'm seeing how it's going to read against what's already there. And it's a really nice way to do that. I'm mixing with the knife, so it's right on the knife. And it'll show me what it's going to look like once it's down. This is one of those paths where you work very, very hard getting to that place that you've been told about, and you get there and it's like, okay, this is why I went through all this work. So I want to lighten this guy's head in here to make that. He has sort of a light brown color, but it's darker on one side and then very light on the top. So generally to make a brown, you use a red and a green. But then you got to think about shadow and what it looks like in shadow and what it looks like in light. So the dark, he sort of has his head down. I like the shape of this right here. It isn't in the center, it's off center, so it actually works pretty well there, and it makes the background go back a little more because this is darker and warmer and comes forward. So that's looking pretty good. The people are looking better now that I worked on the negative space around them. This looks like granite rock. So it's got some variations of color in it. And you don't paint all those variations. I like this up here. It's just looking good. I was gonna cool those trees down in the back some, and I didn't do that yet. So I'm mixing a little bit of alizarin in for some of those darks in the background. The alizarin is the cooler red tone that I have. And I'm paying attention to what side of the trees the light should be, the shadow should be on. So I am still paying attention to that in the background. This tree up here needs a little attention. Less warm. I think when we put figures in a painting, it personalizes. It helps people to identify with what this painting is about. And I particularly am drawn to paths. Well, what better thing to have on a path than someone taking advantage of the beauty of the path. So I love I do love to push my skills also, and that's really important. And so if drawing figures is something important to you, or if you have a painting that or a scene that lends itself to that kind of an addition, then by all means try to paint it. It's like, an artist can choose their medium. You're not just good and necessarily gifted at doing one kind of thing in a medium too. So, you could choose sculpture rather than painting, and you may do just as well at doing sculpture. It's just your choice. So you could choose to paint flowers because you particularly like florals, and you're around flowers maybe in your garden, and so that's something that you love to paint. If you love painting it, or if you have the desire, a strong desire to do something, then by all means do it. Don't stop yourself from trying those things, because you may find that that's really your niche. I remember feeling really apprehensive painting the ocean, And at that time, I lived right next to the ocean. So, how silly to not paint the ocean and to be so close to it. So, it's important that we explore different kinds of subject matter as artists. Because there may come a time when, oh, there it is. That's what you want to paint, because there it is in front of you. And if you've never tried it before, then it's going to be a lot more new to you. I think this needs a little more character. I usually use cerulean. Looks like a pretty warm sky, and a light sky at that. Up at the zenith of the sky, you'll see, which we can't really see much of right now in this scene, but it will become a darker blue up at the zenith. So I'll just put a little bit of that out there in case I want to blend some in. So let's see if that brush is clean enough. And I just didn't get quite enough paint on it, and I wanted to kind of clean this up a little bit around the trees. A variety of strokes is really best in the sky, going a lot of different directions. A little darker than I want it to be right now. So I'll go back in with some white. I'll probably give it my signature pretty soon here. Look at a place like this and say, well, that reminds me of someplace in Montana or Idaho, Colorado. You know, it can be any mountain. It doesn't have to be the Sierras. I just named the ones I've been to. Haven't been to the East Coast mountains, but sure they look a lot like this as well. This is Lis Nielsen, Artist in the Woods, and I hope you subscribe to my channel, and I hope you continue watching. Happy painting.